Afternoon, Carl.
Afternoon.
How you doing?
Yeah, not too bad, you?
Not done this for a while.
Yeah, no, it's been a few months, hasn't it?
A few months, so apologies. We've been a little bit off it, but we're here to give some updates from the last couple of months. Been a few bits and bobs, some of more administrative and basic function, and then a couple of nice things that some of the stuff we've requested as well, hasn't it?
Yeah, a couple of nice changes. Actually, it's a common theme. A couple of things that get added are actually coming from us, and client feedback, which is really good to see. Actually, so we're having people having their views into the product, which is good to see. It makes more and more businesses being able to actually use the product because it's adapted into all these different types of people. So yeah, really good.
I suppose the other thing to think about is probably the last time we called it Dear system.
Yeah.
I think June was officially the month that it had to become Cin7 Core. So yeah, I think we'll have to get that updated for the next couple.
So even though this is going out in July, these are actually the June updates, just for everyone's reference.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Right, shall we crack on through?
Yep. Okay, so as usual, we're just going to go through not all of the features that have been brought out this month, just the ones that we've handpicked that we liked and we think it's worth letting everybody know. There are some ones that aren't on here, but mainly it's just the ones that we think are worth letting everybody actually know about. Okay, so agenda, as I've just said there, these features are just from the 4th of June to the 25th of June, and the ones that we've handpicked that we think are the best features that have actually been released. Yeah,
so pick up on this one, password reset link.
Pretty minor.
Yeah, you wouldn't think it's a major thing, but maybe something really useful, I suppose.
Yeah, pretty minor. The WMS and MES applications have always been I'm not going to say neglected part of the system, but they've always been left behind a little bit. So it's nice to see more functions being actually added. And this one's actually quite a basic one, but it's really needed because when you logged into the WMS beforehand, you couldn't actually do a forgot password, so you'd have to go back to the office, request an administrator do it. So it just makes it a bit more user friendly. So I can open my phone now, request a lost password, reset link, and just get it sorted there and then. So it's not going to change your business, but it's probably going to make a few of your warehouse guys a little bit.
Yeah, like you say, if people forgetful or haven't done it for a while, then you've got to go back to the office, and it just becomes a bit of a ball ache, really. Unnecessary steps, unnecessary conversations. So,
absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Well, if you didn't know about that, go and check it out.
Nice and simple one.
Another one for the MES application. What's this one all about, Sean?
Yeah, so this is another one for the applications. The other one was for the WMS and MES. This one is purely just for the MES. This function is actually already available on the WMS. So anyone that doesn't know, the MES is the manufacturing execution system within Cin7, and that is essentially where you can control your production operations from an application. So with this one, quite a welcome function, but essentially it just allows your users of the MES to look up stock and see where it actually is in the system. So you can just open your MES, click stock lookup, either scan a barcode, type in a SKU, type in a name, batch number, whatever it may be, and just see what you've got and where. It can be really useful if the guys are, in the middle of a job and they just want to check something, or if they're just in the warehouse and want to check something. Yeah. So it just gives more visibility and just making the MES app stronger.
Do you think this is what you sort of said, the word neglect, but it was a bit further behind you? Again, it feels like quite a basic thing. Yeah. But I suppose there's more people using it, more people on the application. Absolutely. These are the things now they're going to come back. So
as with all of Cin7's releases, it's based on user demand, right? So people are asking for these things, so they're going to add them based on how many people actually ask for them. And this is something that's quite self-explanatory that people are going to need in the day-to-day operations in manufacturing. So we now have it on the platform, which is great.
Cool, great. Okay, we'll move on to the next one. All right, okay. Part of the reporting module.
Yeah, this one's pretty straightforward again.
We quite like seeing the report to improve though, to be honest, because I do think it's an area that every single sort of SaaS system sort of starts on a very, very basic footing and needs to improve. It's hard to improve for individual all the time, which has got the configuration elements to it. But yeah, what's this one all about?
So this one's, again, it's not a game changer. It's not going to change your business. It's not going to make you more money. It's just going to give you a little bit more security. So the audit report in Cin7, or as I like to call it, is the big brother report. Essentially, it just allows you to see what everybody is doing in the system, where and when. So you can just keep tabs on everybody, basically. Managers, team leaders, directors should only really be viewing this report. And essentially the change that they've done is you can already view user actions and login and things like that, but now you can just see who's exporting data. So it's actually pretty key, really. And as Cin7 have actually alluded to there is to help protect their clients' interests, because people could be exporting your data and doing whatever with it. So now you can actually see if someone's done an export, and if they have, you can say, well, why has that been exported? And if there's no reason for it, and it's something for you to check on. So it's actually quite a really good security feature, to be honest. So
and if you've got a disgruntled employee or something's turned sour and they've left and you want to see what's happened, it's there around that. So does that come up? Because I know on the audit reports have different categories. And there's like security, which is a lot for the user. So that's going to
we can change it to exports. So you can only change it to like logins or users and things like that. And you could just it would come up as an export. Right. And you can do that. You can see the date, the time it's actually been done, who's actually done it.
So a little bit more traceability there then.
So really good one, actually.
Useful. Okay, good old MRP. Normally quite a complicated area, and I know we've got lots of functionality requests and seen quite a lot of sort of improvement in this module and functionality within Cin7 Core. Can you tell us a bit more about it?
So MRP is tricky. It's a really complicated area, and I don't envy Cin7 for releasing this module because it's a beast to actually configure. And again, there's lots of forecasting tools on the market, and while they're great, they've never really taken off that massively because it's such a complicated piece, because every business forecasts differently. So the MRP module, for anyone that's using it or thinking about using it, it will get there. It just takes time to factor in all the different businesses' approaches and what it actually needs to do. And these calculations are extremely complicated for us to understand, Cin7 to configure and understand, and also the end user to understand what's it's actually producing. But without me rambling too much around business forecasting, this function is quite simple. Within the MRP module, you have a section where it actually produces what's called results or supply orders. And that's essentially where Cin7 is telling you what you need to buy based on the demand that is produced. Previously, it would just give you a list of purchase orders, a list of production. You'd go through and select the ones you want, and you'd click order, okay? And you could merge them later on down the line. Now, with this release, you essentially just tick a box, and it will allow you to actually merge those orders where the same supplier is used. So rather than having, 25 purchase orders that you then need to go and sort through, you might just have 4, but they're actually for the same supplier. So it's just making that process a little bit more simpler. So quite again, a lot of these functions that I've picked out here are very, very small and basic, but they're welcome and
so that for me is like a click reducer, essentially,
click reducer
on any of these types of changes. So that's interesting to see.
It makes the information easier to understand and digest as well, because you're looking at less data. So yeah, really good one.
I think it's interesting what you're saying as well about like taking on these like requirements from different clients, and when you're trying to be a single operational platform with not any variances between different businesses, it's then really hard for the vendors who work like this to then get one set of working with configurations that will fit everyone. And I think that is the slowness around it that you'll see. It's like them trying to think about how to make it generic and try and work for everybody. So how do you do that? And that does take a lot of thinking in the first place, architecting. Then you've got to write it, test it, roll it out, get the feedback. So I think anything with MRP is generally going to be slow on any type of project where they're starting to bring it out and improve on it. So yeah, but good. That sounds a good one. Another reports as well and around the inventory. So again, this looks like a bit of a click reducer.
Definitely.
Reducer. So I'll let you get into it.
This one's been, cried out for years. It's the reporting module in Cin7. It is strong, but it does have areas that it does need to improve on. Like in comparison with other systems, like it's definitely strong. But essentially, in a nutshell, all this feature allows you to do is you're on certain reports, you can pull up that data, and now whereas it previously just say SO-005, you can actually click into that sales order now. So for example, if you're running profit by sales representatives and you've seen on an order you've made negative profit, you're going to go, whoa. So rather than copying the code, going to the sales module, copying the order in there, finding it, then going into it, hyperlink straight into the order. So again, click reducer is quite a common theme we're seeing here. So very, very welcome. Again, not going to make huge differences, but it's just a click reducer and going to save you a little bit of time.
Save you time and get to the data that you need to if you want to interrogate anything on those reports a bit quicker.
Of course.
Cool. Okay. All right then. calendar view for scheduler in around manufacturing. I'll let you talk about this.
Yeah. So this is one that has actually been asked for quite a lot. The manufacturing module, when Cin7 actually released it, it's quite a big revelation, and I think us and Cin7 realized very quickly, even though it was a revelation, there's so much that we've missed, because all the lots of manufacturers were used to lots of different things, and like, well, where's this? And us and them were like, oh gosh, I don't know. So this is one of those functions that has been asked for a lot and actually makes a lot of sense, really. So previously, the scheduler functionality, you'd view everything on a Gantt chart. So it would be, very, very straightforward, and you just see everything in a linear pattern. Whereas now you can view it on a calendar. So it's just much easier to read. So this could be used by your production scheduler. This could be put up in a TV screen in the manufacturing facility, just so people can see by day what's actually happening. Again, not changing huge amounts of functionality here. It's just consolidating all the information that was already there and putting it into a calendar similar to what you'd see in your Outlook or something like that. So really welcome, and just better functionality in terms of visibility. It
says there as well, it's the longer periods as well. It's a longer view as opposed to what's right in front of you, which is always important for schedule.
If you were viewing it, it's like a month on the previous view. If you're just scrolling across like this, and it would be mind-numbing to look at, whereas now you're looking at it, it's like a rectangle, so it's much easier to actually digest the information. So very, very nice feature.
Cool, excellent. Okay, automation module. Underutilized in general, in our opinion. I don't see enough people probably using it and getting the most out of it. But talk a little bit through this one.
The problem with the automation module is it's very hard to specify the functions that you want to use, because it's so broad. So like, we have a difficult time as BlueHub. We scope people's requirements and define a scope of how we're going to implement it, and we always struggle with this because so many things you can do. It's so difficult to actually capture that scope and put it in
requirements,
in the requirements, and an easily digestible way to actually put it in place for the client. So general feedback from this video is use the automation module, but investigate it carefully and don't put too much in place at one time. But essentially, this function just now makes it visible for the advanced manufacturing module. So whereas previously you could set up tasks and task workflows for sales purchase orders, you can now do that for the advanced manufacturing module. So essentially, when a certain thing happens in the system, it will then run a task workflow to actually say, okay, so Cin7 have actually used a great example here. A finance manager creates a task to check the production cost and wastage costs for this month's production orders. So at the end of the month, trigger a task workflow for someone to actually go and check this. So again, not game changing here in terms of automating, but just little things that are nice to have, and small nice to have like that example there that would be good for any business.
I think those automation workflows you're seeing in almost every type of SaaS product now. CRMs have got them around lead and going back to old leads where you can create tasks for you, but I think we're starting to see the operational systems now as well. I've seen some of the job management systems, and I think this will be a growing area. But like you say, they're so broad, and you have to think about all the criteria you actually want before it becomes useful. There's not much like a template in terms of the automation module. So you definitely have to think about it. But okay, another good one then.
Well, here's a feature request for Cin7. Cin7 could have templated automation workflows that you can turn on or off, and they come as standard as your package. So that's a potential one to consider.
Or we could do a little bit of research and come up with some ourselves that we've seen and worked. But I think the send out reports on a given time frame, on a given trigger, is a definite obvious one for the reports that are important to you.
Of course.
Cool.
Okay, and I think this is one of the final ones in here. But this one, again, back to the MRP, this one is actually really welcome. So in the early days when we started to use the MRP, at BlueHub, we just adapt to all the functions that come out, and we just sort of jump in and go, right, okay, how do we learn this and make it applicable? Now, if anyone's doing that as a user of Cin7, you'll understand how frustrating it can be. And with the MRP, it takes it to a whole new level. Because as I was explaining earlier, it's extremely complicated. Now, they very in a smart way, they brought out an errors page where you could check and see, okay, what is wrong with my data? Why isn't it producing the information that I want? Right. It was really useful to have. However, it actually made more of a headache because then you just get a bunch of errors and you're like, right, okay, well, which ones, how do I solve it?
What's the most important one?
And which, that's it. So which errors are actually making this not work? So what Cin7 have done now is they've actually split those errors out into critical, warning, and information. So critical is critical settings have not been configured and calculation won't work, basically, or incorrect results. So they're the ones you need to change. Warning are it's essentially some settings have not been configured and it may affect calculation.
Give some sort of error margin on that.
And then information is just some optional ones haven't been configured. So optional settings, off the top of my head, maybe like lead times and order quantity. Actually, lead times I'd probably say are critical, but there's little bits like that. So really, really welcome. And if you're having issues with the MRP, this will actually make it much easier for you to understand where you're going wrong, especially if you sort of like going through the setup, a fix on fail approach. This should help you.
Okay, that's a good one. So again, quite a visual and an improvement on error handling and improvement on those headaches where you've got to go and work out how the hell you fix these things. So that's cool. Okay. Another MRP.
This one. So we asked for this one. Cool. We did ask for this one, so when the MRP first came out, it was quite a surprise to us and some of our clients because Cin7 changed their methodology of how they calculated minimum stock. So if you were to use the reorder report in Cin7, it calculates minimum stock as minimum before reorder quantity as your minimum stock level, and then reorder quantity is the amount you want to order. When the MRP report came out, it calculated your minimum stock level as minimum before reorder quantity plus reorder quantity. So that was, however, that caused an issue because a lot of our clients set it up in the old way. So it actually made the MRP extremely difficult to use. So essentially what it allows you to do now is just flick a switch and it will use your minimum before reorder quantity as your minimum stock level, and your reorder quantity as the amount you wish to order.
So it's made it option. It gives you the option as to which way you want to go. So if you are calculating in the way previously, you could stick with that. But if you want to take on the new way or the old way, you can do that as well.
It just depends on what you've got your data set up, how your business works, and you can either use MBRO plus reorder quantity, or MBRO is your minimum stock, and then your reorder quantity of what you want to order. So it's completely whatever you're used to do and just makes it a bit more usable.
Okay, cool.
So a good one that one is. Been waiting for that one a while. And this one again is another one we asked for. Thankfully, so the best till last.
Like a blue brand, you know, a brand in a car or something.
These two functions are good, and it's quite very welcome to see that Cin7 have added these because they're pretty self-explanatory, really. So this one, you know, as I said at the start, the WMS again has been one of them products that was sort of released and sort of not adapted too much, and this one was quite a big headache for a lot of our clients and just made sense to put into the system. So on the WMS currently, we get a lot of feedback from clients saying it's not the most usable function, but at the end of the day we have to realize it's an iPhone app. Your iPhone isn't very big, so there's not much information you can see on there.
Absolutely,
However, when you're picking an order, you know, you want to see the SKU, you want to see the quantity, and sometimes you need to see a bit of information of what's gone on with that order or what might have happened. So we essentially asked for notes and comments to be added, and just for everyone's reference, these are line comments on the order. So when you're now picking that order on the WMS, you'll be able to see those comments. So a couple of examples. We have a client who makes personalized gift boxes. On them order comments, they'll have a gift message. They're now looking to use the WMS, and people can pick that gift box and see what they need to put on the little card to put in the box. Another one could be, you know, I'm putting the order on as a salesperson, and the line comment I might add, customers ask for this to be wrapped in blue shrink wrap, or damaged goods are at the back of the warehouse, use those. Little bits like that. And what this does is it enhances communication between the office and the warehouse, limits people walking up and downstairs, and sort of it promotes the function of the WMS of actually being separate from the office and allow them to work independently, really, and avoid that sort of paper trail and just going back and forth. So good function, good function.
So it feels like it's better for comms and better for status updates and things like that. So people have got something to keep track of. Cool.
Definitely. And I think
this is the last one.
This is the last one. Yeah. So this one is, so core-to-core networking is a function where you can essentially connect your Cin7 account to someone else's Cin7 account. Now, this function, it was built for, I'm a supplier, you're my customer. Hey, we're both on the same system, let's connect. So when you send me a purchase order, I receive it as a sales order. I can dispatch that sales order. Your purchase order gets received. We have some clients who use it as dual entity trading. It's a bit of a workaround, but it does work. And essentially what this function allows you to now do is work with advanced purchases and sales. So before it would only work with simple orders. So one dispatch, one invoice, one received, one pick, pack, ship, one invoice. Whereas now you can do an advanced order. So you might have multiple deliveries and multiple invoices. So again, just expanding on a function that was already there to make it more usable. And again, just makes sense. I imagine 80% of our clients use advanced orders. So of course it would make sense to
it's sort of a bit prohibitive if you can't get your advanced sales and purchases across as well. So
of course.
Okay, so that's a bit more core-to-core, dear, depending on what you're still calling it.
Well, that's the first time I've ever said core-to-core networking, so I almost slipped up with the day-to-day approach there, but I got it right.
Cool.
So I think that is them all for June.
So for those who don't know, I'm Matt, MD. Carl here next to me is one of our ERP specialists. So we like to try and talk a little bit about the updates as often as possible. With holidays and whatnot, we've probably missed a couple of months, so but we've picked out the best of them there. Any questions? We've got the YouTube channel, which is pretty vibrant actually. We've had quite a lot of feedback and questions and some thumbs up for help on there. So go and have a look at that. And we've also got the Dear Users Facebook group. We'll have to be thinking about Dear and the Cin7 Core again on those. And there's our website at bluehub.co.uk. Cheers, Carl. Thanks for the updates.
No problem at all. It's good to talk.
First time we've done it like a bit of a chat show as opposed to across the internet waves. But thanks a lot for watching, guys, and we'll see you very soon.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Bye.